Season 52, War number 8, and we're up against BΩLT. This time my team will be Professor X, Omega Sentinel and Werewolf by night. I will be taking Path 8 in Section 1, Path 6 in Section 2, a Negasonic, a Maestro, Enchantress and an Onslaught mini-boss, along with a man-thing boss, using Omega Sentinel. So this time around, bringing in Professor X for the first time in a very long time, just to deal with an Enchantress the easy way, and to do that I first need to ramp him up. So starting off here we have a spot on the Snowballing Fury node, along with no hit mercy, and I will be getting my first 2 charges for Professor X here. The reason why I'm getting 2 is because I do have Omega Sentinel in the team, and these two have a synergy together, which then allows Professor X to ramp up faster, which is very useful to have, especially in Alliance War. Now this matchup itself, it's very easy, to be honest. It's just a spot, and the main thing that's annoying about him is he's untouchable if you fail to deal with his spot gain, but due to the vigilance passive that Professor X gains with 25 of his channeling charges, he will be able to bypass miss regardless. So even if the opposing spot does go untouchable, it's not gonna be an issue. And well, I didn't even have to deal with that in this fight. 1 special 2 and the fight is over, and basically the only damage I took was from me having the recoil masteries active from the previous war. Would have been a waste of units to remove them for a simple fight like that, so I didn't. And then we have a Storm Pyramid X on the Snowballing Fury node here, and I will be taking the fight with Omega Sentinel. Honestly, this fight, there's nothing really worth mentioning. The ability accuracy reduction the defender here has for each buff on them does not apply here, because Omega Sentinel is immune to ability accuracy reductions against mutant defenders. So essentially my parries will not fail, regardless of how many buffs Storm here has. Other than that, she's almost nodeless. Sure, she will hit harder due to the Furies, but I'm not really planning on getting hit here, and even if I did, I have the auto block safety net with Omega Sentinel here, with those 10 armor ups, so it's really not a scary fight at all, though the same thing cannot be said about the next fight that I have coming up. It's a fight that I would not recommend, and I did not like to have to take this one, but I needed the full ramp for Professor X for the Enchantress mini, so here we are. I'm using Omega Sentinel for Bishop on the Prowess Build Up Unblockable and Superior Specials node, and well, you don't really want to use energy DOT against a Bishop, so the way to deal with this fight is essentially to not use Omega Sentinel Special 2 or Special 3, which both inflict the plasma debuffs, and just rely on your basic attacks for damage. On top of that, I can't bait Special 1s because Omega Sentinel is not immune to Incinerate, and the Special will be unblockable. So eating it, it's gonna hurt a ton. Now, I made a big mistake here. I'd intercepted with my Special 1 there while I had enough armor ups for the auto block, so while Bishop tried to hit me during my own special animation, it actually counted as him attempting to hit me, and then the auto block safety net triggering, inflicting a plasma debuff, which then caused me to take some damage, but luckily it wasn't too bad. Now, essentially my game plan here was to just use an invulnerability boost and then push this guy to a Special 3 until, well, he drops eventually, and that's about it. But it didn't exactly go according to plan. He did use a Special 2 and I did fail to dex it, but again the invulnerability boost was there to save me in case something like that ever happened. Overall the fight is very unsafe, and as I said, I wouldn't recommend it. I just didn't really have a choice here. Then we have a Nick Fury on the Prowess Build Up Unblockable and Passively Special nodes, and I am taking the fight with Professor X to get the final charge here, to get him fully ramped up for the upcoming mini. The fight here is not really too difficult to deal with. You just gotta push Nick Fury to his special 2s. That way you don't have to block any hits of a special, and that also means that the defender here will not be able to ramp up any of the prowesses from the passively special node. The way the node works is if you block hits of a special, every blocked special hit will inflict a dormant prowess on the defender, and then next time they use a special, they will become prowess buffs instead. I believe that's how it is, at least. So just pushing him to a special 2 and fully dexing it is a simple way to play around that. Now getting my first special 2 in to trigger the second life honestly was not the best idea, since when he enters the second life he does remove the special lock from him that Professor X inflicts, so now he is still able to use specials, even though I am in the so-called damage phase. But that's alright, I do have the mutant powerback boosts, and with the prowesses I already have, I am just able to cycle special 3s, and the fight is done before Nick Fury here has any chance to really do anything in his second life. That is charge number 4 gained, and Professor X is good to go for the rest of his fights. Or I guess fight, since he only has one left. And then, next up we have a Negasonic Teenage Warhead coming up on the Power Snack and 1 Too Many Hits mini-boss node, and I will be taking the fight with Omega Sentinel. Now Omega Sentinel, as you probably already know by now, is immune to Nullify, so the Power Snack node is not an issue at all, and that essentially means that all that's left for me to deal with is the defense tactic, Negasonic's own kit, and the Power Sting debuffs, though that's not really a big worry. If I have to eat some Power Sting damage, then that's all there is to it. All it's gonna do is cost us a single potion, if even that. Now the biggest issue with Negasonic's kit is that evade she has. If you don't deal with it using knockdowns, well, the evade can happen basically at any moment. So to put it back on cooldown, I waited and baited a heavy attack, punished it with my heavy, which also unfortunately changes my debuff mode. So that means if I now run out of the heal box currently on the opponent, I can't inflict a new one until I cycle back to the heal block, like I did here. So it's a very simple way to play around the evade, but there are risks associated with it. Now at this point I got my special 3, I throw it for the plasma debuffs, and the fight is essentially over. Just gotta wait around and dance around for a bit to let them do their job, and that's all there really is to it. I did end up eating some Power Sting damage there from the special 3 due to the issue with how special 3s work with the 1 Too Many Hits nodes, but as I said, it's not a problem, it's more annoying than anything. Quick boost change here, since I'm a little bit worried about the next fight, but honestly looking back, that was kind of wasted. It's gonna cost me a little bit of loyalty to buy those boosts back, but better to be safe than sorry, I would say. We have a Maestro here on the Burden of Might and High Energy Diet mini-boss node, and I am taking the fight with Werewolf by night. I still have the recoil masteries on, since I really need to get in and get out of this fight as fast as possible. The longer the fight goes on, the more difficult it becomes, with Maestro's glancing, the Burden of Might node power draining me, and then me not being able to cycle or get to my special 2s as easily as the fight goes on. The plan is to just get the special 2 quickly, try to nuke him with that, and the Rupture debuffs following it. It's not, the first special 2 is not gonna be enough, since I wasn't even in the curse at the time, but one more special 2, if I can just get there, is all it takes. Now I accidentally did dex there, so now instead of hitting the opponent at all, I just used the Howl to get to a special 2 and then intercept with it. Had I hit Maestro directly with a basic attack before that, the Burden of Might node would have power drained me, and then I wouldn't have been able to finish the fight with that special 2, causing a lot of issues. Overall though, the fight was quite simple, and I would say the recoil masteries was the right call there. Then we have an Enchantress on the Hazard Shift Shock and Bleed node along with Conflictor, and I will be taking the fight with Professor X. I had a teammate place the White Magneto pre-fight here to allow me to bypass Conflictor with my parry stuns, which then means it's a whole lot easier for me to ramp up my channeling charges all the way up to 100 before I start spamming my special 3s. My game plan here is to just get as many heavies in as possible, even by whiffing some of them on purpose, to ramp up the charges and to try to avoid letting Enchantress use any of her specials in this fight. So now I have the charges ramped up, so all I gotta do is just throw one more heavy, get to that special 3, and now with the mutant power pack boosts, this fight is over. I was originally meant to have the Odin pre-fight as well for the shock resistance, but I figured it wouldn't be necessary since I wouldn't be landing that many hits, and as we can see here, that was the right call. Now, one thing I gotta mention, if you look closely here, I threw my special 2 there even though I had 3 full bars of power. You can go back and pause the fight there after I exited my second special 3. You can see that my power bar is red, but Professor X just throws a special 2. And that is a long-standing bug that has been around ever since its release, and the cause of it is essentially you spamming the special button too fast after your special 3, which then causes you to, for some reason, to just throw the special 2 even though you had the 3 bars. So to avoid that, don't spam the button quite as fast as you could. Trust me, it's a lot safer to wait the half a second afterwards, because if that special 2 had whiffed, which it almost did, I likely would have died or gotten very close to it. And now we are already at the next fight, the usual Onslaught on the Polka Dot Power and Stun Reflection miniboss node, and I am taking the fight with Werewolf by Night, as usual. Game plan is to just play around the brute force node by landing hits whenever possible to reset the timer, then just baiting Onslaught special 1 over and over, letting the Ruptures do some damage, give me power, spam special 2s, and that's about all there is to it. As long as you don't parry by accident and you keep landing hits whenever you can to reset the brute force, the fight is very simple, but with all that said, it is also a bit dependent on the AI. If the AI starts being too stingy with specials, the brute force can really get out of hand quickly, so that's why even when he has a special ready, if he's not throwing it immediately, I just stand there and hold my block until he uses a heavy attack or a combo ending basic attack, which then allows me to go in and hit him to reset the degen. If you don't do that, the fight can go wrong very quickly. Then we have the final fight of the war, a Man-Thing boss that I will be taking with Omega Sentinel. As previously done with the boss node, just to make absolutely sure that the heal block pre-fight sticks, I back out of the fight, check that it is actually on the fight, and then at that point, yeah, it should be there. Pre-fight bug has been around for so long, and it is so easy to forget to check, but we have had deaths because of it, even during this season, so always double check if the fight is especially difficult or important. Now, the game plan here is fairly simple. Essentially, Omega Sentinel being immune to Nullify means that this Man-Thing will never be able to trigger any of his poison debuffs on me, since he can't actually nullify the pustule buffs he triggers, so they will just expire naturally, giving him some power gain from Mystic Dispersion. With that said, having the opponent heal blocked with a tactic champion does lower their ability power rate by quite a bit, so the Mystic Dispersion power gain is also heavily cut down, almost becoming irrelevant here. Now for damage, I just built up the special 3 to get those Incinerate debuffs on, and now all I gotta do is just do normal combos, finishing them with a light attack to pause both the heal block and the Incinerates, and the fight is essentially over. Now, if If I get hit at any point by accident, the auto block saves me. If I don't get hit, well, even better, and all I gotta do is just do this over and over and over. The incinerates are not the strongest in the game, but as you can see, you can keep them up the entire fight, and the damage is noticeable, and it's not bad by any means. Now, I went for a special 2 to get some more incinerates on to speed things up a bit, but that ended up consuming some of my armor ups, which then meant that when I did get comboed eventually, I didn't have enough to trigger the auto block, so that was unfortunate, but it's just a man thing. He doesn't have the damage to do anything too mean, as long as he can't actually inflict those poisons, which he can't. It's been just under 2 minutes, the fight goes down. Otherwise it went very well, apart from that single combo I ate, but who cares about that? A solo is a solo. As for the results, we did end up winning this war 12-5. So not a horrible war by us, but I'm sure we can do better, as we have previously.